So my book is called Digital Wars: Apple, Google, Microsoft and the Battle for the Internet. It was actually suggested to me by someone at Kogan Page, the publishers, and it just seemed such a fascinating idea to write about how these companies have fought with each other over the years since 1998 when Google started, that I simply couldn't resist the idea of writing it. And the direction of travel that is completely obvious from the way the book progresses is that everything is now moving to the mobile space. Mobile is getting bigger than the desktop that we've thought of as the PC revolution. It's now all about the smartphone revolution, the tablet revolution, and the dominance there is going to be the deciding factor in the next 5 years or so. So the way for Facebook to meet the market expectations following exploitation, really what it needs to do, and I think that Mark Zuckerberg is very well aware of this, is figure out a way to make money from mobile. That's the real challenge that lies ahead of it. Google has this challenge, Yahoo has this challenge. The way to make money out of mobile is the sort of holy grail that everyone is after. So for a startup, say in Silicon Roundabout, who's just had a first funding round, I think that the next thing to do is to expand like mad, and also to keep an eye on the ways of monetizing it. I mean, the freemium model is tried and tested. Freemium really works because it draws people in. It's the sort of model that Dropbox used, for example. Dropbox, which managed to turn down an offer from Steve Jobs directly. The way that they did that was by having something that could spread virally, and which equally people wanted to upgrade to the paid for model. So those are the two things to look for. Can people spread your product virally, or is it something where you have to slog for each extra customer? And can you make people upgrade quickly? And those are the two key things which I think will make any startup really thrive. So there are two interesting bits of news. The first is that Marissa Mayer has been hired away from Google to be the new chief executive of Yahoo, which is a hell of a coup for the Yahoo board. And at the same time, Microsoft is selling off its chunk of MSNBC, which is now just going to be NBC, and is looking to what it can do with its own space. I think that what Marissa Mayer needs to do is to make Yahoo remember that it's a technology company at heart. It started out trying to be the director of the web, and then became obsessed with the idea of making money from display adverts. So much so that it turned down an approach from the early Google, because the early Google wouldn't give it enough clicks. There wouldn't be enough people clicking on display adverts because they'd get the first result that they wanted. So she needs to make Yahoo realize it's a technology company. That's the first thing. It's not so much a content company, because it's got enough customers coming to use it that they'll make the content anyway. Flickr is the classic example. Make it a technology company, think about mobile, think about making money from mobile. Microsoft and MSNBC and its divorce there, I think is a separate question from Yahoo, because this is about Microsoft, I think, deciding that it doesn't want to be tied necessarily to the way that MSNBC was regarded. In the US, it's thought of as a rather left-wing, sort of liberal, which is not actually a compliment in the States. Thought of as sort of, that sort of outlet. And I think Microsoft wants to be able to tailor the news that it provides to whoever comes to its portal. I think actually it's trying to be apolitical. It's trying to not have any political position at all, so that in effect, the politics that someone sees will be the ones that they bring to the page. The last bit of technology that I really thought, oh okay, that's really very clever, is actually Apple Siri, where you ask it the weather and you say, what's the weather like today in London? And it gives you the weather. And then you say, how about Paris? And then it tells you the weather for Paris. That's clever. That's I think a technology that's going to get pervasive, and it's when the sort of thing that's exciting about that is when you see the possibility of that spreading all through your life. And I find I use an iPhone at the moment, and I find I use Siri more and more, and that's the sort of thing that becomes really interesting when you notice yourself using a new technology like that more and more.